Hello, and Eric the Racket Scientist here. Now, if you clicked on this video, then you'll know I have something pretty exciting for you today. So let's just cut to the chase. So this here is a Yonex Voltric Lin Dan Force. And just to explain what this racket is as the name suggests, this is a racket especially designed for Lin Dan. I guess commonly regarded as the greatest player of all time, men's singles. And yeah, this is one of the last main rackets that he used in his career. And these are pretty desirable. Now, if you haven't heard of this, then surely you've at least heard of the Voltric Z Force 2, which I have here. And as a bonus, I have it in the Lin Dan Red Special Edition. The Z Force 2, also a very famous racket, maybe one of the most famous Yonex rackets of all time. Because both, well, I mean, obviously both because Lin Dan and Lee Chongwei have used this racket at various points. But this is also known for being a very, well, we'll say it's a good racket. It's a very difficult to use racket, but in terms of its design and how it feels to use, a lot of people feel that this is a very excellent racket to use when you are able to hit it properly. Now, I won't focus on this too much because this is not the focus of the video, but I do want to mention the Z Force 2 had a few unique features that set it apart from other rackets. And some of those features are shared between this and the Lin Dan Force. Now, ones that we can see, and actually my favorite feature of probably the Z Force 2 is the corner grommets. Okay, so normally, well, you can see this is a fully recessed frame, right? Normally, at the, the top corners, we do have normal single pass-through grommets on a normal racket. But for the Z Force 2, we had these bumper type grommets that had these very interesting little, let's call them paths for the strings to sit on. And that just made sure that the profile over the grommets was as smooth as possible. Because the thing is, when you string through these corner grommets, you can just see by the way the string comes out of them that it causes them to tilt, because they don't come off, obviously they don't come out perpendicular from the grommet, and they come out a bit sideways. And so what happens is that if you have just a single grommet for each of these, because the string is exerting a force kind of diagonally, it can cause the corner of the grommets to stick up, and it won't be smooth in this area. But because there's basically kind of shared bumper here, it can lay flat. And not only that, because strings need to kind of cross over each other, we have this design which kind of helps make sure that the strings don't overlap and that they lay flat. And you can see that there's like kind of a little center divider here where you can route the strings around. And this is a very nice feature. And to be honest, I'm really kind of shocked and a little sad that Yonex hasn't really tried to implement these grommets on other rackets since, because I think it's a really good feature. It's kind of like a little bit of a combination between the power assist bumper, but also it's just really cool for aerodynamics and just a really cool detail. And I guess to note, there's also one kind of on the bottom here, but it's not as significant because you don't really get as much overlap. But yeah, there's like a small shared grommet on the bottom. Now another feature that you will not notice if you haven't actually held one of these rackets is that the frame thickness actually kind of changes. Okay, what I mean by that is here at the tip, and you might be able to see it if you look very closely right here. The frame thickness changes right about here. And so actually it's thicker from this range, from maybe 1 to 2 o'clock. It's a little bit thicker here. The tip is a little thinner, and then here in the mid frame it gets thin again, and then here towards the bottom it gets thick again. Now I think the purpose of this is to help modulate how the frame flexes. And Z-Force 2 is known for being a very punchy racket. One of the most satisfying like smash feeling of like any racket of all time. And that partially has to do with its kind of frame shape and also this frame design, okay? So now let's go back to this Lin Dan Force. So let's talk about similarities and differences. Now, if you're just looking at these two rackets, I think the first thing that's going to be extremely obvious is that the Lin Dan Force is actually not fully recessed, and this was actually a little surprising to me. I definitely would have expected it to be fully recessed. Now, given that this is a racket that's kind of tailor-made for Lin Dan, there must have been a reason for that, and the reason in general you would not fully recess the frame is because when you recess the frame, it makes that part of the frame stiffer. So it could be that he was looking for a frame with a softer lower half, kind of for more hold time. And speaking of hold time, we have that similar feature where part of the frame is thicker, and actually it's almost exactly the same, where it gets thicker towards the bottom here, towards mid frame, it's fine, and then we get yeah, the frame gets thicker towards the 1 and 2 o'clock areas. And we'll also notice that the corner grommets are similar to what I pointed out on the Z-Force 2. Now another interesting thing is, and this actually surprised me when I got them side by side, is how much bigger the head of the Lin Dan Force is. Now I don't know if you can see that, but it is a huge difference. So we're talking at least 5 millimeters longer and wider. So it's a huge difference. And you know, it makes it looks like the shaft is different, but it's, you know, if we actually kind of line up the T-joints, you're going to see that the shaft length is actually the same. So that kind of response will be similar. And to account for that, the handle on the Lin Dan Force is actually a little bit shorter. So biggest difference for sure, size of the head and the recess. And other than that, there may be some internal things that we don't really see. But yeah, let's see if they both claim to use the slim shaft. Actually, the Z-Force 2 says extra slim, and then the Lin Dan Force says ultra slim. So, but we can just kind of take the guesswork out if I get my calipers out and see that this is 5, 6, 7 millimeter shafts. I mean, this also looks like 7. So, I mean, they look the same to me, even though they have different terms. So, I don't know. It's worth noting that this Lin Dan Z-Force 2 is SP code, unfortunately. I actually did have a JB code, but it was stolen from me. But because I don't really use it that often, and I didn't think I would use it that often, I just decided to get a SP code to replace it, since I don't really play with it. But what's cool is that this Lin Dan Force is a JP code, which is really nice. It is not in the best condition, however, and well, that's fine because first of all, you know, I won't feel that bad for playing with it, but if you have looked for these rackets in recent years, you'll know that both Z-Force 2s and Lin Dan Forces are really expensive, both on the used and new market. Yes, you can find them new, but you're going to be paying at least $700-800 for a brand new one, or one in like maybe good, perfect condition. And used, these rackets can go for minimum $300-400 used in working condition. So I got this, I wasn't planning on picking this up. I mean, like I knew what it was, and I was always like, okay, if I can get my hands on one, that would be cool. But it wasn't a priority for me. But I saw one pop up for like a price that I couldn't really turn down. Now you're gonna see that it has, there's a chip there, and there's a couple chips throughout the frame here as well. But again, cosmetic, and for the price, it really was a good deal, which is why I picked it up. Now you will notice that the handle is already clear, but it's actually a little gross. So there's a bit of work to do, and I do want to clean up this racket a bit because if you look at the kind of the cone here, there's like all kinds of goop. It's like some guy smeared like boogers all over this racket or something. So we're gonna, so today I'll be gripping it, but also be cleaning it up a little bit. And we're gonna start by just, there's not too much goo on the handle, but I'm gonna hit it with some Goo Gone anyways after I remove the staples, and so we can clean it up and stuff. Yeah. So it's obviously a little sad to see a racket like this in such a kind of a gross condition, but I'm not really going to complain because, again, I found it for such a good price, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, and the kind of the goop, that kind of boogery texture that I showed you, that's kind of what happens when you don't clean off your handle, and or if you just grip and like put stuff directly on the wood handle, which is, you know, why I'm so thorough about making sure my handle's always clean, just so it looks nice whenever you need to maintain it. You don't have to deal with gross stuff like this boogery texture or whatever. All right. It's already looking a lot better. Part. Now the problem is there's still like a lot of random gunk on the upper, so let's go ahead and try to clean this off as well. As much as possible. See, after it's cleaned up, it's a beautiful handle. Just take care of your wood handles, guys. I'm gonna be honest though, like, despite this racket being super iconic, I will say the visuals, like the colorway of this racket, doesn't really stand out that much to me. That's just my opinion. You could say the same for the Z Force 2, the original Z Force 2. Like the kind of the navy blue was surprisingly muted, considering it was like a Z racket, right? Like you would think all the Z rackets, the high-end rackets, would be like flashy and cool. But yeah, and then this one, like gold is nice, although this is a little more of like a, I don't know if it's gold, more like mustard. But there are a few special color editions of the Lin Dan Force, which you could probably guess, because of course Yonex would want to milk Lin Dan's legacy. And I think there's a red one similar to this red Z Force 2 that I had. But I also know there's a silver edition, I think a final year silver edition, which is really, really rare. And that one looks pretty cool. But again, kind of muted, but cool. But like, you know, if I could get one, I would definitely go for the most special looking, like the red. Actually, I'm going to pick off some of the fuzzy stuff first. That might be one of the most precise grip jobs I've ever done. And how fitting that it be on a Lin Dan Force. Yeah, that's cool. Anyways, I'm really excited to try this one out. I'll probably try to compare it to the Z Force 2. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.